in terms of a spectator sport as well. And when you have that level of quality on the pitch, it becomes much more enjoyable. You know, the level of technique that you're going to see that is going to be on show is next level. And so I can't wait for that. I can't wait for the opportunity to have Champions League matches here in the Philippines. Welcome to Across the Line. On this episode, we talk about Ceres-Negros' spectacular run in the preliminary round of the AFC Champions League. Not only has it been very impressive, but the impact on the game here in the country could be huge, especially in the coming years, where the Philippines is now going to be experiencing Champions League football on a regular basis. Chris and I talk about all of this on this episode, and we hope you enjoy it. Please do subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and on Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to rate and subscribe, and to follow us on our social media on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. So now, Champions League football, it's the highest level of club football on the Asian stage. And Ceres-Negros are knocking on the door. They're letting everybody know that we're ready to make the jump now from the AFC Cup into the Champions League. It's been an amazing run here in 2020.
I think after last year, when they beat Brisbane Roar, played against Tianjin with the likes of Axel Witsel, Alexander Pato, you know, I was like, this is like once in a life. It's never going to happen again.
Yeah.
Like this run is just ridiculous, and fair play to them. Amazing achievement. This year with, I think, 2 or 3 days training, preparation, go into the game against Shan United.
Handily beat them. Did what they had to do against a decent Myanmar side. Yeah.
We all thought that the Thai Port game was going to be the one where, look,
it's a formality.
It's a formality, really. Yeah. You know, they've been in training. I know they've invested heavily, Thai Port, obviously with some familiar faces, Martin Stoyle being there. They've got a great setup, lovely stadium, brought in the big Brazilian forward for, by all accounts, you know, big money.
Yeah.
And just the odds were stacked against them. I mean, even in the press conferences, you heard Coach Risto Vidakovic talking about how, look, we're just here, you know, we'll give a good account of ourselves, you know, with little preparation, with the amount of time we've had to, between the games, it's just up to us to come here and give a good account of ourselves.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, you know, eke out a 1-0 win, and now we find themselves one game away from the biggest stage in Asian football for the second time in 2 years. So, you know, an incredible achievement in and of itself. By the time this podcast will go out, the result of the game will be in, but yeah, I think just to celebrate where they've got to at this point in time, just to get to that game again, unbelievable. If it comes out and they've beaten FC Tokyo and they're in the draw, amazing. You know, we're probably making the assumption that that's going to be the game too far, given that they up against the second best team in the J League.
Yeah, there you go. That's the context there. They finished second in the J League, so that's a ridiculously talented and well-drilled side, and, you know, expected to compete against the very best. So if Ceres-Negros even comes close to FC Tokyo, then that really speaks a lot of the level that they're reaching. And prior to the Thai game was 8 days of preparation, 8 days into their preseason.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, people are going to think, why didn't they prepare more for this? But, I mean, the last game of the season was played in December, I believe, or late November, something like this, right?
Yeah.
So the players need rest. It's been a very, very long campaign. And if you're the likes of Stefan Schrock, then there was no end of the season. Nope. You played in the SEA Games. You had a couple weeks to spend time with your family, and then you're back in. So, you know, it's been an arduous road for a lot of these guys, and it's amazing what they've been able to accomplish, right? I mean, I went to the Shan United game. Mm-hmm. They won 3-2 in that one, but I say they won handily because they were up quite a large amount. I think 3 goals.
3-0,
3-0 up prior to Shan, coming back a little bit. It wasn't really like a real
late goal,
comeback.
Comeback,
To see them, how well drilled they are, they kind of picked up where they left off, you know? It's kind of shocking to see how crisp their passing still was, how everything was well drilled. They ran out of gas at the end, which was to be expected, right? But man, Risto has done something special. with Ceres. Over the last 3 years, they've just gotten better and better with the ins and outs of so many players. They've still continued to improve. Not just keep the same level, but they're improving, which is really, it's difficult for me to explain.
And I think the other factor that really is when you consider how tumultuous their year was last year, with all the behind the scenes managerial issues, boardroom issues, a mass exodus.
Yep.
Post AFC campaign, a bunch of the fulcrums of that team left.
Yep.
Your likes of Ingresso, your likes of Nazari, Manny Ott.
Yeah.
Right? Ingresso. All these guys have all left, and you think, who are you going to replace them with?
Yeah.
Who are you going to replace them with? I think they were very shrewd in the transfer market.
Very good.
I mean, picking up Mendy, absolute.
That was fortuitous.
But
they got a great pickup in that.
Great pickup.
Takashi
Odawara, great pickup.
What a player. I'm a huge fan of that guy.
What a pickup. And if anything, I think what they've got in there is players with know-how, with experience, who have gone in there, slotted in seamlessly. And exactly what you said, it doesn't really seem like they've skipped a beat, which is surprising when you have that kind of turnover in personnel. And I think whether it was shrewd or whether it was just simply, like you said, fortuitous, because that was all that they could pick up at the time. But not only are they good footballers, they're good people.
Sure.
So they're going to fit into that group without any issues, without any worries. It's not like you're bringing in someone from Europe who doesn't know the ins and outs and intricacies and issues that come with moving and living in the Philippines. These guys are here, or they've been here, and they know all the ins and outs, so they can just hit the ground running.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what they did on the march to winning the double again last year.
And have to mention individuals like Sean Kane, who were on the periphery of that squad, but with the departure of people like Martin Stoible out of that squad, they've just slotted in and they've performed to not only the AFC Cup level, but now they're at Champions League level, and they're like, this is my home now. This is the level that I play. It's like, that's very impressive that they've been able to do that. OJ Porteria as well stepped up his game. So it's really nice to see that the level of ambition that Ceres has is starting to show that they are at par with that level of ambition. You know what I mean? Like the quality that they're showing is at par with this grand dream that their owner has, that, hey, maybe we'll play it in the Champions League. Maybe in the back room, people are snickering a little bit, like, Champions League, come on, man. We're a Filipino club. Like, that's not going to happen. But damn, they're making it seem like this should be the level that we should be all aspiring to.
One thing that's really interesting about what you said there, when they were Division 2, they picked up Rachel and Carly Demoga. Do you remember that? And they picked up, and I was like...
From Global?
I think Rachel had already been in Thailand for a year at that point.
Oh, okay.
I think he'd been in Thailand or something, and then he came,
Malaysia or something like that,
came back. And I remember him saying, "Listen, this is for the money, right? Coming back for the money." And he was like, "Oh, the money's good," but he said the owner wants to. He's going big.
Yeah.
He's going big. He said he wants us to be the best team in Southeast Asia. I remember saying to him, I was like, "You got JDT, you've got all these teams from Thailand, you got top clubs in Indonesia." I said, like, mate, you're in the Philippines. Come on. It's just not possible. It's just not possible. And then just sort of year on year, all of a sudden they would bring in, one or two sort of marquee signings that really said, right, this is our intention. They brought in Juani. They brought in Juani was a big one. They brought in Stoible, brought in Shrocky, brought in Roland Muller, and I was like, like, they're serious. And not just like to win the title here. They're serious to compete
and at
the next level. At the next level. Because even I remember the year when they went and they beat JDT. I think was it the second year in AFC? The second year in AFC that was, I believe.
2017 it might have been something like that. 17 or 18,
And I was like, they're as good as them. And this was the year after they smacked us. In the knockout rounds of the AFC Cup. I was like, they're on that level. To be fair, that JDT team that beat us was super strong. They just won the AFC Cup. That team was really strong the following year, and they were in a little bit of decline by that stage. But it was certainly like, right, we're we're surpassing you now as one of the top 2 or 3 teams in Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
Which I think is where they're at right now. And now I saw the highlights of the Thai Port game. I didn't watch it live, but I saw the highlights. And don't get me wrong, it was hairy at times. You know, they rode their luck at times, but you know, they had chances too. You know, they the goal from Shrocky that was a goal off the. Was it a free kick or a corner?
Yeah,
I mean,
so that's the second time he's done that, though. You said it was a fluke in the Southeast Asian games. Now he's done it twice. I think he's just trying to spite you, Chris.
Well, maybe there's goalkeepers out there that need to really up their game. I don't know, but yeah, it seems like he
sliced the delivery goalwards instead of into the box.
He's got a bit of fade on there that's sort of hooked its way. Yeah, I mean, the goalie should save it, but you know, they had other chances in the game.
Yeah.
It was a wide open game.
Yeah.
Right. It was wide open. Any team could have won that. And yeah, they rode their luck, but they're in the pot now. They're in the pot for the final draw.
It's
so
crazy.
Final round. So, you know, and that's so Thai Port qualified through winning the cup or coming second in the cup. I forget which one it was now. But they're a legitimate T1 team.
Yeah.
Like legit T1 team. So for them on little preparation and for them with a short turnaround to go into their own backyard and beat them,
it's incredible.
Again, you must be saying to a lot of Thai clubs who have been pillaging our league for players, they must be saying again, look, this is we're up there. We're up there with that caliber of team.
Yeah.
And I think it sounds ridiculous, but maybe that is where they see themselves. Maybe they do see themselves playing in the AFC Champions League, which is not something that 4 or 5 years ago you'd be like, yeah, Philippine club team will be playing in the Champions League.
Yeah.
You know, and we're talking about against teams from, you know, the likes of China who are pumping in millions of dollars. Japan, South Korea, but they're going to be rubbing shoulders with these teams.
Yep, on a regular basis now. And for those who are unfamiliar, right? You know, a lot of people might be familiar with the UEFA Champions League. It's very similar. There's a UEFA Cup, right? Or you did the Europa League now.
Yeah.
AFC Cup was considered the highest level for Philippine football. That was considered the pinnacle, right? Which is essentially the Europa League, right? That's where we were. For developing countries, that was the highest you could go. And you would have to jump through 3 hoops in order to be even considered for the group stage of the Champions League. So you have to win 3 games, all of which would be played in quick turnaround matches where you would have to travel. In the case of Ceres was from the Philippines to Thailand all the way to Tokyo. Like there's very little time for you to get back, get to home base, regather your thoughts and debrief yourself. No, you're going to go. You're going to go straight to war. So then that's something that's not going to be needed in the coming years. So there's developments being done in the AFC level where they're trying to expand the Champions League and get more teams involved. So they're trying to get teams from these Southeast Asian countries to become a little bit more familiar with the Champions League setup, right?
Okay.
So Thailand has already been integrated and Malaysia in JDT. So they've already been playing Champions League matches. And what they saw was these guys are not getting blown out.
Yeah.
Right? They're rubbing shoulders with Hyundai, John Book Motors, those guys.
Yeah.
And they're doing all right.
Yeah.
So why don't we open it up to some of the bigger teams as well in Southeast Asia? So next year, in 2020, or this year rather, in 2020, if you are the champion of the Philippine League, you are going to get a straight shot into the group stage of the Champions League.
Do you want to explain how that came about? Because there's a lot of sort of words that when these articles are written, you know, they talk about coefficient.
Yes.
You know, teams need to acquire this amount of points in order to, and people were like, whoa, I don't know what that means. So do you want to sort of unpack that a little bit and explain how that kind of works?
I'm not going to claim to be an expert at this, but I have seen a little bit of the information that comes around from that, right? So member associations or federations as a whole will receive points for putting together a league, for having teams that represent your league in the AFC Cup.
Yep.
If those teams do well in the AFC Cup, then the coefficient rises, right? This is why Ceres-Negros is particularly important to the Philippine League.
Yeah.
Because they're pushing on their own, individually, essentially, the coefficient of the entire Philippine Football Federation.
Yes.
On that stage, right? This is the reason why we are being considered into the Champions League ahead of other leagues that have been around longer than us, right? I mean, we are higher ranked, I believe, than Singapore, Indonesia.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these, there was a bit of turmoil in the Indonesian leagues. Mm-hmm. Their coefficient is not high, regardless of the amount of culture and history that they have, right? And some of their teams don't do so well in AFC Cup, right? They might get out of the group stage, but they're not consistently challenging for the title the way Ceres-Negros is, right? So that has warranted a spot in the Champions League. That's the reason why we were being considered for that slot already. Obviously, JDT and in the Malaysian League are already in that region. Slight tangent, by the way. JDT just released photos of their new stadium. Outrageous. What are they, like Bayern Munich?
It's disgusting. it's obscene.
It's unbelievable.
It's outrageous, isn't it?
But this is the type of level that the Southeast Asian clubs are starting to reach for now. This is the level that they want to be at. They don't want to be okay with playing in half-empty stadiums against smaller clubs from Cambodia and Myanmar. They want to play against the big boys. And I gotta say, it's very exciting. It's very exciting because it opens the door for world-class talent to come to the Philippines. If you have an opportunity to play Champions League football, there's a chance that, all right, I'll play in the Philippines. I'll come in. I don't know is it 7 players? Is it 7 teams? Is it 8 teams this year? I don't know, but
I wouldn't mind playing against Tianjin or
right?
Guangzhou Evergrande.
Yeah. Do I get to play against Andres Iniesta one time? You know what I mean? Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay.
I'll sign up for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's exciting times. And the thing that this should be alarm bells though for all the other teams in the Philippines is that if we don't get our acts together soon, we're going to start getting smashed really, really badly. And if we're going to need to create some sort of parity in the league, we got to up our game.
Uh-huh.
And that's the thing. That's going to, I don't know if it's a good thing or it's a bad thing at this point in time, because if they're going to reach the Champions League level, then their budget's going to be so big. You know what I mean? How are we going to compete against a team like that?
With a massive war chest.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing also when you start to get to that level, the money's going to come in from other avenues, right?
That's
So you get, because you're not going to be on the normal networks, you're going to be on the big TV networks. So you're going to get revenue streams from the television. You're going to get revenues from the gate receipts.
Yeah.
Right? So even the away games, I'm assuming there's going to be a share or percentage of the gate receipt that comes your way.
Potentially, yeah.
Right? So they're going to have an even bigger war chest in which to assemble another set of superstar players to perform in this league. I mean, I'm looking at it from a slightly different perspective. Like, I think I've said on this show before, like, most leagues are monopolies.
Yep.
Most leagues are monopolies.
You did mention that. Yep.
Bayern Munich, Germany, Celtic in Scotland, Real and Barcelona in Spain. Right now it's Liverpool and Man City. I mean, that's slightly different because money's coming from all angles in the Premier League. But Juventus in Italy, Paris Saint-Germain in France. So, it's that is what it is. And it's up for the other teams, like you said, to level up. I'm going to look at it maybe from a slightly different angle, which is it's going to create a lot of opportunities for the really, really best Filipino players. Yeah. Now, so let's say you perform really well at a Kaya or really well at a Stallions. There seems to be a big migration towards the Thai League, so they've got a lot of players there, which is great. So they're getting great contracts, they're getting paid. There's going to be an opportunity now for Ceres to go out and say, right, okay, no, thank you, we'll quadruple, or even more, like, multiply your salary by coming over to us. Yeah, we're going to be playing against the top teams in Asia. Do you want to join? Yeah, great. And then all of a sudden, these players are now going to be rubbing shoulders with the best players in Asia, or in the example that you gave, some of the best players to ever play the game. Yeah. So we've seen Mark Hartman's come back. We've seen Haruka Minagishi has come back. James Younghusband has come out of semi-retirement and is now suiting up. So these guys, hopefully, if it's not going to be this year, hopefully this year, I'd love to see him beat FC Tokyo, but if it's not, then the opportunity, if it were for Ceres to run up the scoreboard and claim that Champions League spot for 2021, a great opportunity for a lot of real talented homegrown players to go and pit their wits.
Yeah.
Not just in a one-off game.
Yeah.
But, in 6 group games against the best that Asia has to offer.
That's unbelievable. The 6 games. That's what it is. It's like you're not going to play a preliminary round knockout match. Winner, this is it. All or nothing. This is like you're going to get an opportunity to host these people in the Philippines as well, right? So it's like it's a push structurally, organizationally, not just on the quality of the pitch, but you're going to have to bring these guys here. You know what I mean?
That's one of the things I wanted to ask you, because again, you've been to like these workshops and you've seen kind of a little bit more of the operational side of things that needs to be handled. Like, where does Ceres, and in particular the Philippines, how do you think they're going to deal with, that stringent policy, box ticking, all of those things that they have to adhere to in order to be AFC accredited or AFC caliber, right? Yeah, that's
Champions League caliber.
Champions League caliber. What are some of the criteria that they need to meet that's different perhaps from
the AFC
Cup stuff?
There are a few stadium requirements that they need to meet. I've never been privy to the Champions League workshop because we've never had an opportunity to qualify for that. But from my understanding, a place like Panad, for example, where Ceres has called home for the last few years, but will not call that home this year because Panad's going to undergo renovation. Right. So Panad wasn't even AFC Cup level prior to them being in the AFC Cup.
Right.
But Ceres-Negros have a way of, what do we need? What boxes do we need to tick? And let's make it happen. Right. So the seats came in super fast. All of a sudden they had lights. In fact, the lights were being put on by cranes, if you remember this.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. They hired cranes to just put up the lights for that one day. You know what I mean? So they have a way of moving things around to make sure that they tick the box and make sure that the game is still being hosted. But at this point in time, I think maybe Rizal is the only stadium, maybe the Philippine Sports Arena that you could utilize for Champions League matches.
What about the one up in Clark? Is that the one that they use for the SEA Games? Would that be an option? Or?
It could be, but you'd have to search. That's not something that we have as a country. A lot of that's not a resource that is readily available. Right. So there are some things that you need to have a look at and possibly have to improve in order for us to host Champions League matches.
Yeah.
But imagine that though, like the amount of fun it would be to watch those games. Oof.
Amazing. Yeah. Amazing. Like, again, I like to see it from a perspective of what I hope it will do. Because a lot of these, like in Europe, for example, they have, if your team qualifies for the Champions League, your youth team goes into the European youth equivalent.
Okay, all right.
So, and what it teaches you is those kids then travel to these countries. They learn to play in a competitive environment. Learn to manage your time when you're in the hotel. Boredom. All these things that you wouldn't have to encounter if you're just staying at home playing in your regular academy. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping that they see it as an opportunity to rejuvenate the organization as a whole, because it'd be great. Imagine if, I don't think they have an equivalent at that level, but I'm sure it's going to move into that space sooner rather than later.
Nice.
For sure. It's definitely. And if that's the case, surely they would want to have like a youth team that is indicative of where they are now.
Yeah.
And aspire to be. I mean, you saw JDT's academy. You saw their dome that they've got there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Premier League level.
Yeah.
It's Premier League level. But I'm sure that most other Champions League teams will have that kind of facility.
Yeah. For sure.
Should they get their own training ground?
Ooh.
They're renting McKinley Hill. After Frisbee. Or women's. Or mixed rugby comes on after them on a, for example, on some of those sessions. They're getting kicked off for our academy sometimes. It's like, there's obviously that level up process needs to be all encompassing. Because at some point you're going to get found out if not all of those things are in place. So, and that's not a negative. That's not a slight on them. But there's obviously, you need to look at things in a broader perspective then, because it's only, like you said, if you're going to be bringing in these players who want to play at that level, there comes a point where it's like, but getting changed, out on the street before we go in and train at McKinley,
Sure.
it's only so long that you can kind of keep that facade up. There comes a point where everything needs to level up from all aspects. So I would love to see that. Yeah. From a Filipino club. I think Natasha Alcaraz was talking about how she went to see Patrick playing in Thailand. She was like in awe of, it's just so nice about having like a facility that you could go to, and they have, an office, or they have a gym, and it's all on site, and you can watch it from a gantry, see out, and I'm thinking, that's Thailand, but we just gone there and beat.
Exactly.
Philippine clubs just gone out there and beat a team from there.
Yeah.
So the product on the pitch is better, but it's like the stuff around it that needs to improve. And if anyone's going to do it, it's them. Yeah. And obviously, like you said, but while that might create some issues on the domestic front in terms of what we might have on the pitch, I'm hoping it's an opportunity for everyone to try to level up and aspire to that.
100%.
Yeah, let's see where it lands.
Yeah.
I'd love to see them do that. I'd love to see them level up all aspects of the football program.
Yeah, I think in terms of a spectator sport as well, and when you have that level of quality on the pitch, it becomes much more enjoyable. The level of technique that you're going to see, that is going to be on show, is next level, man. So I can't wait for that. I can't wait for the opportunity to have Champions League matches here in the Philippines, whether it's Ceres or if it's, if Kaya goes in there.
You're talking like it's a foregone conclusion, doesn't it? But I mean,
obviously we're basing it off of what they did last year, where they couldn't get touched. They didn't get touched, in fact. So, if you're basing it off of that, then okay, then it's Ceres, right? But, Kaya working on some things, trying to, you don't take it lightly when you get smacked like that over the course of a year. So I'm sure there's going to be, some efforts put in that direction, and see if they can topple Ceres. But at the end of the day, whoever wins will go to the Champions League, and Champions League football will become more of a staple in the Philippine football diet, which is
amazing.
Only going to be incredible.
But brilliant.
Yeah. Best of luck over to the Ceres-Negros team. Risto Vidakovic, who has made it a spectacular job. Like we've experienced him from the opposite side of things, being against him and seeing his antics on the sidelines, and having to deal with that. But when you look at his track record and what he's done with his team and how he's kept them motivated, regardless of all the turmoil around the squad, spectacular coaching. You have to say it's a spectacular stuff to get this team ready at 8 days, 3 days, whatever it is. Incredible.
Yeah. So tip your hat off to Risto, because that's a very difficult task for any coach. And speaking to players about one of the strengths of him as a manager, he's great at managing players.
That's what I heard.
That's the sort of overriding consensus from players that I speak to, because players will talk. And, that seems to be the thing with him. Again, I think I spoke about it on a previous podcast. He's obviously got great tactical knowledge. He's got a way in which he likes to play. He's played at a very, very high level.
Yeah.
So at some point, that needs to be acknowledged, because they do play good football as well.
That's right.
But I think what gets them to not just compete, but to beat teams like a Taiport, to keep them hungry, to keep consistently churning out result after result, even though you're against an opponent who, you should be handily beating them 4-5-0, but then you have to go out and do it, and to keep those guys motivated.
Yeah.
I think that speaks volumes for his man management style.
Yeah.
And his ability to keep the players on their toes. So, hats off to him. It's an incredible job that he's done. And he's another one though. How long will they be able to keep him if he keeps putting up these sorts of numbers? Because I'm sure there's a lot of teams, owners, GMs who are looking at him thinking, if he can do that in that league, with those resources relative to, some of the resources that Thai clubs have, Indonesian clubs have, Malaysian clubs, or even bigger.
I'm sure there's not a lack of interested parties.
The suitors must be there. So Sarah's got to keep the Wolves at bay, because I'm sure that they'll be chomping at the bit to try and get hold of a top quality coach who's been, he's certainly set the level at a really, really high bar for club football in the Philippines. So
100%.
Hats off to him. Brilliant job.
Best of luck again to Ceres, pushing the limit for Philippine football right now. They're pushing where everybody needs to reach right now. The standard is there. So best of luck to them in against FC Tokyo. Wow. I can't wait to travel to Tokyo for football, man. That should be good, right? That should be a lot of fun.
Brilliant. Good luck to them.
If you guys enjoyed this episode and you enjoy the football content that we provide here on Across the Line, please do subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and on Apple Podcasts. Thank you for listening to the show, and we'll catch you next time on the next Football Friday.